Hello, and welcome to this special health and wellness edition of In the Know Women's Show. It's a pleasure to have the following holistic health and wellness practitioners as guests today. Stephanie Petersen is a healthy diet and lifestyle coach. She also brings her work as a massage therapist and hypnotist, along with her love of fitness and meditation, into her health coaching program. She has a master's degree in nutrition and herbal medicine, as well as undergraduate work and teaching experience in anatomy, physiology, pathology, and biochemistry. Our second guest, Vanessa Nixon, is a traditional naturopath and author. She is passionate about helping women thrive during the spiritual initiation of their menopausal journey. She's adept at attunement to natural health, invigoration, dance, and therapeutic movement, and teaching women to see their innate natural beauty. When she is not practicing in the realm of natural health and organic beauty, she is a professional belly dance instructor. And our guest host, Dr. Tyler Zimmerman, is passionate about helping clients heal and transform through an eco-art therapeutic approach that combines art, nature, and play. Working and playing in a natural setting offers a variety of mediums to encourage growth both indoors and out. This allows an emergent and imaginative approach to therapy that adapts to fit the unique needs of each individual, couple, family, and group. She feels deeply called to work with clients in a creative way that honors their transformative nature. As there is much to cover and learn from our guests, I'll be behind the scenes during this episode on crew to allow our guests ample time to discuss their thoughts on the importance of health and wellness to them personally. They'll also discuss how that came about, as well as how they contribute to the well-being of our communities via their personal connections with people and their professions. Stay tuned. This is going to be a great episode. We'll see you after the opening. Be well.
We have a wonderful show for you today. My name is Heather, and we're joined by Vanessa and Stephanie talking about health and wellness. I know we all work in that field, and it's, for me at least, it's mind, body, spirit, it's holistic. And we'll get into different practices that we have ourselves, but what does it mean for you guys? Would you like to begin, Stephanie?
For me, health and wellness is about feeling as great as you possibly can, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it. And as a healthy diet and lifestyle coach, the approach that I have is to work with diet and herbs and exercise and other lifestyle issues to achieve that as best as possible. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, my definition is very similar to that. Mind, body, spirit, use the holistic picture of the lifestyle, what you eat, what you consume, whether that's consuming maybe news as well as food. And I also, work with nutrition and herbs and homeopathy and energetic modalities, as well as movement, and also just speaking to inner beauty. I think that is a really big part of health and wellness is being able to tap into your intuition and your inner wisdom and the inner beauty that we all have.
I love that, yeah. I am very much in sync with you guys. I have a doctoral degree in psychology, and I call it eco-art and play therapy. So part of it has to do with reconnecting with nature, reconnecting our nature to nature. And part of it is the metamorphosis that I know you'll get into with the book I see over there. We'll move into the new year, which we are already in. And I know for myself, I actually got sick, but I had a cocooning course that was looking at the past year and kind of alchemizing that. What do we want to do as we emerge in the new year? But what do you guys do around health and wellness? in the new year and with that movement?
I used to do the traditional New Year's resolutions, you know, and plan a whole new diet plan or a great big exercise plan. And now I tend to have a theme for the year. And then just throughout the whole year, work on making changes and adjustments on a smaller scale that are more consistent and maintainable, that work towards that general theme. So for this year, it's energy, seeing energy and being more energized and sharing that with other people.
I love that.
Yes, I love that too. For me, one of the aspects of my work is to tune into nature, and especially as women, to follow the cycles of nature, as we are very cyclical as women throughout our lives. And so when I think about the new year, I think about, well, what is nature doing? Is nature making a whole bunch of resolutions and getting out there and doing a bunch of stuff, or is nature still in that cocooning phase? And so what I like to do is, instead of start those new ideas and plans at the new year, I like to do that in spring, when nature is, you know, sprouting and all of that new energy is bursting out. So the new year for me is still more of a introspective time, kind of a hibernation, and kind of going within, and still in kind of that dreaming phase.
I love that, like a incubating dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
did a year-long course with a couple other women, and it ended up being all women, and we went through the seasons, and so the fallow period and that natural movement, and not surprisingly, we're all very aligned and attuned in what we offer. The next question, Darlene has given us these wonderful questions, is somewhat covered, but deepen into, you know, how do you apply wellness and health in your lives? And I know for me, part of it psychologically, part of it is forest bathing, part of it, you know, it has these different aspects, but part of it is dancing. I know we have a treat later with dancing, but, you know, really fully expressing. I'm also an artist, fully expressing who we are, you know, almost like we would stretch our bodies. How do we stretch our creative spirit? So what comes up for you guys with that question of what are personal practices that you guys use that you could bring forth that might help others?
Personal practices, I love herbs, and I love gardening and collecting wild edibles and wild medicinals, and love getting outside hiking. Pulling nature in that way. I love what you said about that, and definitely running around barefoot outside. And also, you know, getting the working on relationships, and a lot of journaling and self-examination to sort through emotions as they come through, rather than having them jam up and be something that then I need, you know, some coping mechanism to deal with that's going to end up being counterproductive to my health and wellness. Yeah, so a lot of inner work, a lot of healthy choices to put into my body and do with my body, and a lot of time spent doing things I love and with people I care about. Yeah.
In my work with clients, I often use Rumi's "Make what you love what you do," and I speak of a barefoot ethic, which is also a good way to play.
Well, I love everything that both of you have said, and I think we do have a lot of resonance in what we do and what we offer. And I think rather than just repeating, because I do many of the same things, I think a really deep aspect for me is just being intentional about every part of my life. You know, being intentional about how I wake up, and feeling into my own intuition about, okay, what is actually going to serve me best in the morning, and, you know, what foods are going to serve me best, what herbs, what flower essences, what kind of movement, and really making sure that the things I do are resonating with me, and not just because somebody else told me, oh, this is good for you, because we're all different, we're all unique. And while there are certain foods and drinks that are healthy for everybody in general, I think it's really important to also bring that unique, personalized aspect into it. And I think, again, the intuition, the being intentional is one of the things that can help each one of us, no matter what our education is in health and wellness, to choose what's right for us in the moment.
Yeah. Intention, I think, is a guiding focus for all of, everything you say. It's a great way to tie that in. One of the next question is really, how did we come to do what we do? Like, there's that concept of the wounded healer, heal thyself, that your life passage and experience leads you. And I know for myself, with psychology, part of my calling was I was depressed as a child, and I was really aware and suffered from the suffering of the world. I had wonderful hippie parents that showed me quite a lot when I didn't have enough to process it. And I think that that's true today. And so a lot of my calling is around helping others with climate suffering and, all of the suffering of the world that I think empathic and empathetic people resonate with, and how can we create coping skills to transform ourselves, to transform the world and hold that together. So what are the stories and the narrative threads that brought you here now?
Well, when I was 20 years old, I read Clan of the Cave Bear, which is a story about a Paleolithic woman who is raised to be an herbalist and healer. And I was just completely captivated, dropped out of college and went backpacking with books about identifying wild plants. And so that was the beginning of my journey. And then similar, I mean, I didn't have anything particularly wrong with me that a doctor could find, but just never felt good. My mind didn't feel right. I was emotionally all over the place. Physically didn't feel great. And so started, using what I was learning to alter my diet, figured out food allergies that cleared my brain dramatically, and just slowly learning over time. And I just keep adding tools to the toolbox because it's all so fascinating to me, everything we learn. Most recent was adding hypnosis and learning how to kind of dig around in the subconscious a little more to find the old belief patterns that are kind of sabotaging things and getting in the way of expanding and growing spiritually. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. So much fun.
It's wonderful. You have an exuberance. I think we tell our story, and you guys seem like such great embodiments of the gifts you bring.
I love hearing your stories, and so often when I speak to people who are particularly in the natural health care world, I hear so many similar stories and can resonate. And I have a similar story. I was chronically ill as a teenager and young woman, and my family was, pretty entrenched in the conventional healthcare model, and so I was put on antibiotics to the point where the last 2 years I was on daily antibiotics for years, which decimated my gut flora.
And mine as well.
Yeah, and one of my friends noticed that I was taking antibiotics every day, and they asked, well, why are you doing that? And I told them the story, and then they asked me a question that I had never been asked before, and I'd never asked myself this question either. They asked the simple question, is it helping? And it stopped me. And that simple question not only allowed me to think about it, to really be reflective about, okay, how long has this been going on? 6, 7 years. okay, it's not helping, but it also helped to expand my mind and kind of open up my view to, well, if it's not helping, is there something else that might help? I had never heard of herbal medicine. I had never learned about proper nutrition. So those things were completely unknown to me, but just that question, it created some curiosity in me. And my friend actually had an herbalist that they went to see. And so the next time I had a bout of illness, I went to see the herbalist, and what used to take me 8 weeks to get over my illness was over in 2 weeks taking the herbs. And it blew my mind. I just knew I had to learn what is this thing called herbal medicine and why does it work so well? And that was the beginning of an entire lifestyle change and the trajectory of my career.
Yeah, and the endowment and the recognition of your own inner authority, that you can self-determine your path, and allows you to go off your path, to leave college, and now I'm going to imagine you in caves. But so it's already been revealed somewhat, but what is it that you and we do in the community? I know in a way I do eco art and play therapy, I said, but I've created a bunch of online offerings that I'm hosting on a socially altruistic learning site to help, because we don't have the infrastructure for not only mental health but holistic health. And we're in a bit of a free fall in terms of community and societal fragmentation. And I'm super excited. A charity that's in native, I think it's like 15 different states of tribal people. I was just donating to their charity anyway on the phone, and I was like, hey, I have these resources. Would you be interested? And they said, we would love that. Would you come and teach us how to implement them? And so that's one of the things, like I know there are probably a million things you guys do, but what is it that you bring as gifts to the community? How do you interface in this region and county?
Well, as a healthy diet and lifestyle coach, I just use all the tools in my tool bag to help people reverse chronic disease and meet whatever their health goals are. So I think you said, maybe it was you that said something about that inner wisdom, helping people get in touch with that inner wisdom that they have, that we all know inherently what we need to do to get healthy. And so helping people get in touch with that and trust that inner voice, and do the experiment on yourself, because we are each unique, and so you are an experiment of one. So people have an idea of what they want to do, but the information out that's being provided is so confusing and so conflicting. And so helping, providing information so that people can make educated choices, and then helping them break their goals down into something small that's achievable and maintainable, because the consistency of, if you're going to eat healthy, you need to do it consistently. You can't just eat a salad one day and then that's not going to do it. You can't exercise once, right? So helping break things down into something that's achievable and can be maintained. And I use nutrition, I use herbs and supplements. We work with exercise and improving sleep, stress reduction, and dealing with how to change the mindset and in how you approach stressful situations and how you process through that stuff. That the hypnosis is useful for that, as well as lots of techniques, and then referring people out to practitioners such as yourselves that can help them with other aspects that I don't do as much. Finding groups of people, because having a community around you that shares your goals is huge for really getting something going and keeping it going and having a good time with it. So yeah, I love it. I love being there when people go and they just suddenly they get it, you know, and they feel more empowered, like they have a choice in their health, that they're not a victim of these chronic diseases. It's beautiful.
Not surprisingly, that's the number one thing they've found, is that sense of empowered agency.
Yeah.
Which is like you asking that question self-reflexively. And so I love the empowerment in all of these paths. Yeah.
Yes. Well, for me, I have 3 branches of my business. I have the natural health, which we've been speaking about, and then the natural movement, which we will get a little taste of later, and then natural beauty. And so what I like to do is help women particularly to weave those 3 things together to create a really strong foundation for their lifestyle and their health and wellness, using nature as their guide. And particularly, I love to work with women who are going through the menopausal phase, whether they're perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, because that's such a huge, impactful transition for women. And I think it can be one of the most profound chapters of a woman's life. So I think it's really vitally important for women to be healthy and to be well, because I think that there is the opportunity for women to make a huge impact on their communities. So my impact is to help them make a bigger impact in the world. And that is one of the reasons why I wrote this book.
Oh yeah, please show us.
Yes, this is Menomorphosis, and it is geared toward women in that transition. And it's basically the culmination of all the work I do with nutrition and herbal medicine and homeopathy and flower essences and energy work, and the movement piece and the beauty piece, and integrating all of that together in a really holistic lifestyle so that women feel empowered. And they feel that sense of agency, and they feel confident in bringing their own gifts out into the world. For many women, this is the first time in their lives when they've actually been able to focus on themselves. They've been focusing on children or, you know, a different career or a relationship. And so I think that it's super important for women to understand that there is a really huge, it's a portal. You know, and so if they can go into that portal really healthy to begin with, then they're going to have that much more energy and that much more confidence to bring their dreams to fruition.
Yeah, and I think we've all noticed the tendency of women, like the mother tree, you know, to give, and then sometimes not give the foundational gift to yourself. Yeah. So the next circle we get to do is about giving, you know, what would you impart to people watching in terms of advice or a gift of a practice, or I'm going to spontaneously riff off what both of you guys have said. One of the things that strikes me is 95% of women in studies don't like their body, you know, and I think love, we are coming up on Valentine's Day, and I'm offering actually a Women of Wisdom offering next weekend, and self-acceptance and self-love they're almost synonymous, you know, they're interwoven, and what are we telling ourselves if we don't, you know, love ourselves? And so much of what my field is about is how we hold somatic memories and our trauma history and our biology in our body. And so one of the things in a creative play way that we've probably all done as children is the body mapping, you know, where you can trace your body or just draw a body and let stories come and color different parts. But and you could do yoga, you could do a nature walk, a medicine walk, anything, but to really drop into the body. And I know that for a while, the number one intuitive advice I got was drop into your heart, which happens to be embodied. You know, you can't be in your heart and not be embodying. And to really, all of us, I guess, women and the feminine and all people, to really drop into the heart, because there's a lot of wounding around the feminine in women and all that entails. So that would be, you know, my seed that I would plant with you guys.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, obviously, I would say bite off small things. So if you want to change your diet, choose a tiny change. Add one salad a week. You know, something small that you can do that isn't overwhelming. Park at the end of the parking lot and walk in. You know, I mean, things we've all heard, right? But simple, easy things that aren't overwhelming. And yeah, and for reducing the stress piece that tends to cause us to self-sabotage and go for those negative coping mechanisms that might be a container of ice cream instead of that salad, right? Yeah, drop into get into your heart center, pay attention to what you're feeling, and because when we do that, we can actually process through that surprisingly quickly, and it's gone, and then you don't need the carton of ice cream again until the next time it comes up in 15 minutes, you know, and you're doing it again.
But it gets half as much.
Yeah, exactly. And you're at least doing it consciously. You're making a choice, and then you're aware of it all the way through, and you can, instead of just going straight to guilt, you can kind of start to analyze it and see what happened and learn from that. Yeah, I'm just being gentle with ourselves and celebrating the things we do well. And when we do one thing, when we eat that salad, celebrate that, you know, with ourselves, and be kind to ourselves.
I love self-compassion. What you're bringing in is you can't have self-love without self-compassion, and probably do any of the work without it.
Yeah, when we judge ourselves, we're just jamming all that stuff up in our energy field and in our body, and it, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I love that. I think what all of us are speaking to in our own unique ways is the piece of self-love, self-compassion, self-kindness. And that's one of the reasons why I love belly dance so much, is because it is an ancient cultural practice that's all about women's empowerment. It's all about women loving their bodies, accepting their bodies, doing something that's fun, that's also healthy for their bodies. And it's a very community-oriented practice. Belly dance was originally performed only by women, for women audiences, and the choreography actually tells the story of womanhood from childhood all the way through elderhood. And so, so I guess that little seed that I want to plant is about movement and moving your body in a way that brings you closer to that intuition, to that self-love, to that inner wisdom, so that you can bring that inner wisdom out into all of your choices that you make during the day, and that can really strengthen that sense of empowerment and sense of confidence and energy that you bring into the world.
Beautiful. This is the easy one. You know, is there anything else you guys want to share? I know we're going to move into our surprise activity, which probably isn't that much of a surprise at this point. But I love how we've naturally moved towards community, because I do think women work in circles. There's a need for community. I also, my heart and my mind goes to mentoring, you know, women touching other people, rippling out, touching lives. But what else would you guys like to add, either in terms of what you do or just a thought or thread that you'd like to weave in?
Well, I teach, I've started this last year teaching community classes through the co-op. So the Olympia Food Co-op does courses, and so I've been teaching those, and I've got one coming up in the middle of March about gentle detoxing for springtime. And then at the end of March, I'm going to start a live Zoom course that meets weekly to help with reducing inflammation using diet and lifestyle. So yeah, people are welcome to join in on either of those and get some tips and tricks. And
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I should probably go to both.
I do probably more virtual offerings. And I love the fact that that can broaden our communities, because community is a really big part of my story and my continuing story of optimizing my health and wellness in my life. And so I have many different offerings and courses on natural health and wellness and beauty and movement online. And I also have some of my products. I have a natural cosmetics line. And so right here in this community, Radiance carries my Natural Look mineral makeup, and they also carry my book. And so I love the fact that, you know, that is another component of community, is reaching out and, you know, networking and creating contacts. And that's I think a super important piece around community that isn't often talked about is, you know, who are your networks? Who are your people? So that when you do have an issue, you know exactly who to go to. And so really making an intentional community for yourself is super important.
Well, I love that we've ended with the circle and the rippling out and the community, because I think that's the nature of the feminine and how women work. And I know that they give to charities through women because everything, the resources are distributed like the mother trees into the community and into the roots in a beautiful way. I've loved our conversation. I don't think it could be more synergistic in terms of, you know, how we've woven together. And I know we have our special treat at the end. So any last words that you guys want to say to the audience before we go into our next escapade?
just love yourself and take care of yourself, because this is what you've got to work with for your life and to do the work you want to do for your community. Yeah.
Yeah, I second that. It couldn't be put more perfectly.
Well, thank you. And I love also the dovetail with self-love, which is so needed for men and women, but women seem to struggle that particularly so for Valentine's Day. Yeah. And with that, thank you to the audience for coming and being with In the Know Women Show, and to Darlene, to the wonderful studio here. And without further ado,
All right, we are going to get a short experience of belly dancing together today. So the first move that we're going to learn how to do is a head slide. So I like to put my hands right beneath my chin, have a nice long neck, straight posture, and we're just going to slide the head horizontally from side to side, keeping the head straight up, keeping the face straight forward. And then we can slide forward and back, forward and back. And then we're going to connect those 4 points: side, forward, side, back. And start to round it out. And now we're doing a head circle. And then reverse, go the other side first, forward, side, back, and round that out. Got to get both sides working. So that is a head circle. We're going to move to the shoulders now. We're going to do shoulder rolls. So first, just roll your shoulders back and forward and kind of get the kinks worked out. And now we're going to go back one shoulder at a time, alternating. And now we're going to, as we continue to roll the shoulders back, we're going to put the hands in front of the lower abdomen and notice how they just roll over each other. And you can slowly and slowly start to lift those hands over your head. And then bring them back down. And those are shoulder rolls. From here, we're going to go into snake arms. We'll do it one arm at a time. So with the right arm, lift the shoulder, lift the elbow out to the side, and then the wrist, and then the fingertips. And as the fingertips go up, then the shoulder goes down, the elbow, the wrist, and the fingers. And then they flow into each other, up and out and down. And the other side, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers. Amazing, you guys are naturals. And now comes the fun part, which is putting the two together, alternating. So let's start with the right. As it goes down, then the left starts to go up. Oh, you guys are so good. You know how to do this already. Yes, beautiful snake arms. All right, wonderful. And the next move is a shoulder shimmy. So we'll start one arm at a time with this too. And this is just a forward and backward movement with the shoulder. And the hand doesn't move, the hand stays in the same spot. We're isolating. Belly dance is all about isolating different muscle groups. So it's just the shoulder moving straight forward and back, straight forward and back. And then on the other side, straight forward and back, straight forward and back, forward, back, forward, back. And then we put the two together, again alternating. So when one shoulder's forward, the other's back. And then you switch, switch, and keep your eyes within your peripheral vision on your hands to make sure your hands are staying still and isolated, and you're just moving your shoulders a little bit faster, faster, faster. And here's where our belts will give us away. And that just tells us, okay, let's isolate the shoulders a little bit better. You guys are doing awesome. That's a shoulder shimmy. All right, now let's move down to the hips. We can do the same type of shimmy with the hips that we did with the shoulder. And to do that, you want to keep your feet about shoulder width apart. And the knees are always soft. They're never locked tight. They're just slightly bent. And the heels stay on the ground the whole time during the hip shimmy. Nice straight posture. And we're going to take the hips and we're going to bend one knee at a time, which gives us this pelvic tilt. If you bend one knee at a time, keeping the heels on the ground. Start off slow. So this is an up and down movement as we're doing this pelvic tilt, but it's also a side-to-side movement. So we're doing two things at once. And then we can slowly start to speed up a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, until we just let it go. Let those hips go. And we're doing a hip shimmy. It's so much fun, and when you have a coin belt, it's even more fun because then you get that auditory level. All right, so let's go back to the head slide, and maybe we can have some people join us as we review here and do our head circle. Do our head circle.
Where did she go?
She did circles. And then go to our shoulder shimmy. Start slow, speed up, shimmy. And then we'll go to our shoulder rolls. Bringing the arms up and back down. And our snake arms, alternating. When one goes up, the other goes down. You ladies are awesome. All right. We have to get another participant in here. You can great to be right in the middle. All right, and then let's move to the hips. Just start slow and speed up, letting those hips go. Maybe even adding some snake arms on top of it, because you guys are so advanced. And alternating between the shoulder shimmy and the hip shimmy, and the shoulder shimmy and the hip shimmy, and snake arms, and head circles, and shoulder rolls, and shoulder shimmies, and hip shimmies. And bring your arms up and down. All right. Yay.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for coming and dancing with me. I know it's vulnerability to do this on TV for the first time.
Especially with the shirt on.
Yeah. Thank you, crew.
Yeah, thank you, crew.